Yeah, good.
Yeah, so good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, Angel and Namtu. ഇന്നെന്താ പറ്റിയേ? സമയത്തിന്റെ ആണോ അതോ ഇന്ന് വേറെ എന്തെങ്കിലും എക്സാമോ ഒത്തിരി ഹെക്ടിക്ക ദിവസമായിരുന്നോ?
ഒന്നുമില്ലായിരുന്നു.
ഇല്ല, എന്തോ മനസ്സിലായില്ല.
ഇല്ല, ഇന്നൊന്നുമില്ലായിരുന്നു, ഫ്രീ ആയിരുന്നു.
ആണോ? എന്താണ് ബാക്കിയെല്ലാവരും അവിടെ പോയി? ഓഷ്യൻ ബോസ്
അവരെ വീട്ടിൽ പോയോ എന്നൊരു ഡൗട്ട് ഉണ്ട്.
എന്തോ
വീട്ടിൽ പോയോന്ന് ഡൗട്ട് ഉണ്ട്. 2 ദിവസം പണിമുടക്ക് അല്ലേ?
ഓക്കെ, വീട്ടിൽ പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ക്ലാസ് ഇല്ലേ? ഓക്കെ, സോ അവര് റെക്കോർഡിംഗ് കണ്ടുള്ളായിരിക്കും അല്ലേ?
ഓക്കെ, ചിലപ്പോ ഒരു 10 മിനിറ്റ് നോക്കാം, ചിലപ്പം വരാൻ ചാൻസ് ഉണ്ട്.
നിങ്ങളോട് ജസ്റ്റ് ഒന്ന് മെസ്സേജ് ചോദിച്ചു വരുന്നുണ്ട്. We were discussing basically Bharatiro, boss is here, Roshan is here. Okay, very nice. ആൻസർ ഞാൻ ചെക്ക് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞില്ല, അല്ലാതെ ചെക്ക് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഒരുമിച്ച് ഇന്ന് രാത്രിയായിട്ട് അയക്കാം. ഞാൻ പറയാനുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ കൂടെ പറയാം. Okay, so we were looking at system analysis in geography. അതിന്റെ ബേസിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഓരോ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ കണ്ടു. നമുക്ക് ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട കാര്യം ഇത് അനാലിസിസ് തന്നെയാണ്. ലൈക്ക് ഹൗ ആൻഡ് വൈ system analysis involved and what was like the impact, evaluation of system analysis after. Okay, so initially we will see some of the negative aspects of as to why system analysis has been not very successful. Closely relates with the concepts that we studied in QR. QR പഠിച്ച കാര്യങ്ങൾ തന്നെയാണ്. First of all, we can say oversimplification was there. Oversimplification and overgeneralization. Okay, so elements were basically randomly chosen elements. Like so, some elements was excluded, some elements was included. So on what basis? Basically, the perceived significance as to the geographer. The geographer perceived these elements can be excluded and these can be included. For example, next example, system analysis പറയാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഡേവിസിന്റെ ഒരു example, W.N. Davis. So Davis emphasized on structure, process and time, but he basically excluded structure. Slope development നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ചു, സ്ലോപ്പിന്റെ പല elements ഉണ്ട്, all right, but what about the structure? Structure has been excluded from excluded why slope development has been studied. അല്ലെ, സ്ട്രക്ചറിന് ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് കാര്യമായിട്ട് പരിഗണിച്ചിട്ടില്ല. സോ പ്രോസസ്സും പുള്ളി കുറെയൊക്കെ ഒഴിവാക്കി, ബട്ട് ഇൻ സം കേസസ് പ്രോസസ് ഹാസ് ബീൻ ഇൻക്ലൂഡഡ്. ഗ്ലേഷ്യർ പ്രോസസ് ഒക്കെ പുള്ളി പഠിച്ചു, ബട്ട് മോസ്റ്റ്ലി സ്പീക്കിംഗ് സ്ട്രക്ചർ ഹാസ് ബീൻ excluded from that phenomena. So that is one major aspect we have to see, a major criticism of the theory. Okay, then there is subjectivity over the choice of scale. Over the choice of scale used. Scale can both be like spatial and temporal. So when you look at maybe the ideas like growth pole. Okay, growth pole എടുക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ എന്താണ്? Growth pole short time what unequal development ഉണ്ട്, and long time you have basically the equalization of development, spread effect, all those things. So short time you have agglomeration, and short time, long time you have spread effects mostly dominating. But and then so it depends upon what kind of a scale, time scale is used when we are looking at as to what phenomena is happening. So system analysis may change, like depending upon the scale that we choose, our analysis will always change. So അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ system analysis അതിൻ്റെ അതൊരു ബോട്ടിലിനെക്കാണ്. ആ സ്കെയിലിന് അനുസരിച്ച് സിസ്റ്റത്തിന്റെ റിലവൻസ് മാറും. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമുക്കിപ്പോൾ വേറെ എക്സാമ്പിൾ എടുക്കാമെങ്കിൽ, ഇഫ് യു ലുക്ക് അറ്റ് അഗെയിൻ ഡേവിസ്, ഫിസിക്കൽ ആണ് എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യാൻ എളുപ്പം. ഡേവിസിനെ എടുക്കാമെങ്കിൽ, ഇഫ് യു ലുക്ക് അറ്റ് ദാറ്റ്, ഡേവിസിന്റെ സ്റ്റെബിലിറ്റി, ഡേവിസിന്റെ ഐഡിയ ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ക്ലസ്റ്റർ സ്റ്റെബിലിറ്റി. Crustal stability crustal stability is only possible with respect to a single landform and also a limited time period. Over a long time period, there is no crustal stability. And also between maybe you see like a mountain and a surrounding valley, there is no crustal stability. Maybe this mountain may be having crustal stability, or maybe if you look at between two continents or an ocean or a continent, there is never crustal stability over a long period of time. So again, that scale matters when you understand. So whenever the scale changes, നമ്മുടെ സ്റ്റഡികളൊക്കെ the data becomes redundant. Another criticism that was there is about the anti-humanistic criticism. Okay, we know like economic rational man, isotropic surface, and the ideas are behavioral, basically excluding behavioral aspect and subjective reality from the considerations as to how the system works. So these were the major criticisms. We will write about it in a simple manner. Okay. So shall we? System analysis has been criticized for its attempt to. System analysis has been criticized for its attempts to oversimplify and overgeneralize the real world phenomenon. Or criticize, oversimplify and overgeneralize for the real world phenomenon. In both morphological and cascading systems, elements and processes are chosen randomly. It is the background of the researcher that determines, it is the background of the researcher that determines what elements and processes would be chosen for study. In doing so, many important variables can be left out resulting into distorted results which are away from reality, which are far away from reality. In slope analysis, hollow structure is excluded. Which at times can become more important than the processes. Than the processes. Example, if you look at limestone region, the structure is more important. The structure of limestone entirely changes the way what the cycle of erosion is happening. So you can look into that as an example. Similarly, if you look at take the case of agriculture models, Montagn's model. So you can say that irrespective of the yield and land rent, other prices like the real estate prices, the opportunity cost, the economic trend, etc., all changes. Like whenever there is a business model, business is introduced, a new market is introduced, or other factors of majorly other agents, other factors like the other economic agents are introduced into the picture. We can say like the entire things will change. It remains significant when the entire market is just about agricultural products. If you are bringing in something else, the situations could change, right? So that can be mentioned. Second one, it has been criticized for its subjectivity. It has been criticized for its subjectivity with respect to choice of scale. Yes, a scale of study varies. So does the results also change. As a scale of study varies, so does the results. In fact, results are found to be incapable of incomparable. Results are found to be incomparable of studies based on different scales. Again, you can take the example of geomorphology here. The ideas, non-cyclic ideas and cyclic ideas, right? You can do Davies. Are there non-cyclic ideas? Non-cyclic ideas. Okay, I think hack in the idea noka. Dynamic equilibrium theory of Getty Hack. That talks about what it has both different one side, like when the longer time scale is taken for Davies, it's cyclical, like young, old, and so young, mature, and old. Whereas according to dynamic equilibrium theory, their landforms remain in a state of equilibrium. Their morphology, their shape does not change with time, right? So they are entirely opposite, but for the because of the varying scale that they have adopted. That is one thing. Use of system analysis in general. Use of system analysis in general has been criticized as being anti-humanistic, as it tends to exclude human and their behaviors from the study of system. Human and their behaviors from the study of system. In fact, there has been a tendency to exclude the subjective realities as part of the positivistic philosophy. Okay, so in this continuation of itself, we'll just write the positives of systems theory, and I'll explain in between. First one. So basically, first one is about providing what framework to understand this. So the introduction that we made about system itself was that there is so much of complexity, like complex phenomena, and it helps to understand the complexity in a better way. To study the complexity it's a tool. So basically, it's a tool. Okay, so by breaking it into different components, pala components and the complexity മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ ശ്രമിക്കുക. System analysis provides a framework provides a framework through which we can understand complex reality by breaking it into components and their relationship. Breaking it into components and their relationship. It makes geographical studies more logical as a step-by-step study of more logical as a step-by-step study of complex phenomena. And it also helps the geographers to identify and understand. It also helps the geographers to identify and understand the significance of each element individually. Right, and it provides us a tool to understand, to compare with between different regions and make a comparative study. So that's the next point. Regional analysis and regional synthesis ഒക്കെ achieve ചെയ്യാൻ help ചെയ്യുന്നു പറയാം. Geography is a special discipline which focuses on variability of phenomena in space, system analysis provides neutral tools to geographers to analyze the spatial variability of geographical phenomena. So first of all, we are creating a framework which is rid of subjective realities. So we have something like which is the basic, the foundation, and based on that foundational framework, you can compare different regions and as to what varies between what and what for regions. So ആദ്യമേ തന്നെ ഒരു ബേസ് നമുക്ക് കമ്പാരിസൺ നടത്തി നമുക്ക് ഇൻഡെക്സ് ഉണ്ടാക്കും എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ തന്നെ we are making a basic thing, foundational thing, and on the basis of that we are comparing different regions. So that's what system analysis does to it. Another important contribution of system analysis, obviously, it made geography a scientific subject, right? The QR phase. What was QR standing for? QR standing for to make a quantification in geography and making geography a scientific subject. So again, that can be attributed to system analysis as well. Use of system analysis has made geography a more scientific and scientific and systematic discipline. And another point is that in the postmodern, we had studied about various stages in the development of geography. In the postmodern world, the applied geography is one of the major paradigms. So in the applied geography paradigm, the system analysis helps to devise problems, to understand the problems, first of all, the elements and the problems, and then to devise solutions to it. Okay, so I'll just write that and give you some instances where this is applicable. So today in most postmodern era of geography, which focuses on providing solutions, solutions to various problems, Geography is becoming more an applied subject, more of an applied discipline. In this context, System analysis can be used to identify. Give me more applied for discipline. In this context, system analysis can be used to identify important elements and processes causing problems. About elements and processes causing problems. Identify important elements and processes causing problems, and then provide systematic solution to these problems. So system analysis helps in that. So some of the utilities can be mentioned, like in human geography. First of all, population geography. System analysis helps to understand flow patterns of migration by treating a region as a intervening obstacles and what opportunities. ഈ കാര്യം കേട്ടിട്ടാണല്ലോ population theory പഠിച്ചപ്പോൾ theory of intervening opportunities and intervening obstacles എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യം പഠിച്ചായിരുന്നു. Like whenever there is two regions, for example, A and B, there would be intervening obstacle if that maybe a cultural debate, a different language, maybe a distance. These are obstacles. And obstacles is the flow of migration. The intensity of migration would be less. When there is intervening obstacle, again, intervening opportunities, people tend to move from A to B to C. That would be the case. So this is basically understanding the different obstacles and opportunities. Initial theory was what? Migration is dependent upon A and B, the mass gravity theory by MA and MB by R square, distance square എന്നുള്ളൊരു തിയറിയാണ് ആദ്യം ജിഫ് ഒക്കെ കൊണ്ടുവന്നത്, ജിഫിന്റെ ഗ്യാപ് തിയറി. And then it was modified using the intervening obstacles and opportunities. So that is basically studying the different elements within that system. So that is again system analysis. Okay, so basically we can go for planning using that. Okay, then we can again identify settlement geography. Okay, pattern of linkages with of settlements with what you call as transport arteries. Okay, that can be looked at. Cristaller's ideal endana, basically Cristaller is looking into again what transport arteries or services parayunnu alle. So it can again, system analysis can also be important for planning, understanding the different elements, different needs of different processes and elements. Maybe one element would be residential complexes, one element could be retail complexes, one element could be like industrial units. So different elements are there, different processes are there which are working. Okay, so based on that, you can go for settlement plan. And then economic geography, you see whereby you can look into different aspects like poverty, hunger. Okay, so these can be studied, these elements can be studied in the formulation of welfare policies, resource allocation. Okay, similarly, what locational theories load നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ എന്താണ് location analysis നാകത്ത് Weber is looking into what raw material, transport, labor, and other things, that is agglomeration. Again, that could be attributed to system analysis. So hazard mapping, that's the best example I would say. Hazard mapping nathana. So different hazard mapping nathu varumbo vulnerability of a different region, vulnerability with respect to what the hazard, vulnerability with respect to the architecture, vulnerability with respect to the type of settlement patterns that is there, the terrain. Okay, all these elements are together, brought together, and then we basically look at to devise solutions to the hazard prone area. So all these are applicability of the system analysis itself. So it's a great tool, can say. Although it was being criticized for its positivistic underpinnings, system approach is a practical approach to study a phenomenon. It can be a handy tool for the geography. Okay, So I guess your points എഴുതിയില്ലേ ഞാൻ ഡിക്റ്റേറ്റ് ചെയ്യേണ്ട കാര്യമില്ലല്ലോ. Not in this one? Yes or no? Yes or no?
AD sir.
Okay, very good.
equation
No?
equation എഴുതണം MAMB by R square.
അത് പഠിച്ചല്ലേ already. Gravity model of migration. Question is not very significant. I think population പഠിപ്പിച്ചപ്പോൾ പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നതാണ് ഗ്രാവിറ്റേഷൻ മോഡൽ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അതാണ്. രണ്ട് cities are there. Between that, the dependence mass അല്ല population ആണ്. M denotes population here. Population of A and population B and the distance between that gravity model. All right. So that's for models and theories. Models and theories clear ആണോ? Okay, so models and theories is a very yielding module. Like every year there will be questions from models and theory. And one of the things that we observe from models and theories is that there is high degree of repetition of questions because ആകെ 5-6 models they can only ask from that, and because of that they have nothing but no options but to repeat these questions. So we can easily score marks. ഞാൻ പഠിപ്പിച്ചൊരു framework ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ഞാൻ അധികം തിയറിയുടെ കണ്ടവാനം ഡീറ്റെയിലേക്ക് പോവാതെ ബേസിക്സ് പഠിപ്പിച്ചതിന് ശേഷം I was looking into the analysis of that. So you can maybe find more analytical aspects of that. Always you can do that, but always look into that because you can score big time in the area of models and theories. Right. Okay. So our next topic is physical setting, India physical. Okay. So a couple of things we have to study here. Space relationship of India with neighboring countries are more of a political geography question. So there is not very much of absolute thing. I think political geography is a chapter. Political geography. Political aspects. Basis of basically these are the ones that is talking about the regional concept of industrial issue. International boundary of India is basically repetition of the physical setting, the space relation of India with neighboring countries. Structure and relief, drainage and watersheds. This is a very important topic. And monsoon. Monsoon, obviously, the most repeated question, one of the most repeated question in geography is monsoon. So structure is asked, like structure is mostly asked with respect to peninsular India. Peninsular India, either region, let's say Chota Nagpur Plateau. എടുത്തിട്ട് Chota Nagpur Plateau structure describe ചെയ്യാം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ Western Ghats structure describe ചെയ്യാം. So those kind of questions have been there. Structure and structural relief of especially the peninsular India is very important. Drainage system, things related to river and river related issues are important. We'll see that. Monsoon obviously very important. Sometimes it's asked in the paper 1, sometimes it's asked in paper 2, but either way monsoon is very important. Then we have a gamut of topics like floods, droughts, climatic regions. Climatic region is not pretty much asked. Natural vegetation, I think a little bit of questions is there. We'll see that after the days come. Soil types and distribution, again, soil types have been asked in a good manner. So that's basically how physical setting as a topic pans out. Okay, so I think the most important topic is structure, relief, drainage system, the climatic system, monsoon, and to a small extent, climatic regions. STAMP has been asked. A climatic region classification by STAMP has been asked. We'll see that. Okay. So we'll start with physical setting. So I'm not going into basically the small things like the latitude in which India is found and all things. I think that are being covered in the GS part. That would be perfectly fine without already dealt with that. So what I'm going to do is that we'll start with the space relations of India. Okay. So So we'll slightly start with the space relation of India. So basically, we have to know the frontiers of India when we talk about space relations. Again, these are something you can obviously read from Fuller and these kind of topics and easily understand. So basically, we'll be discussing few things. We'll be leaving the rest to you to work on. But basically, we will see overview as to how the space relation is built upon. Right. So what are the different elements? As you can basically, with respect, you can see as relative elements, space relations with relative nature and space relation with absolute nature. So absolute nature basically looks into those things that are fixed. For example, the physiographical nature of India. You can always be asked. So relative nature, you have different things. Absolute nature is real thing, different things. So these two together forms the space relation of India with what it's space relations of India. So now, if you look at absolute factors, you can see physiography as one major important factor. Then there is culture. Then there is economy or something. Can cite more. Can cite rivers as one. So basically, what you have to look at is how these things are things are modified the relations. Okay. What do you say? What do you say? Like relative, we can include maybe the inland. India is situated in the inland, right? So that can be included. India's relations with other countries. So that is not basically a function of absolute factors only, but relative factors also, because the policies that governments take at different points of time will be having an important functions to play. There is so these two are the main two factors. Now let's see how these are related and how these are working. Right. So first of all, if you look at, for example, if you look at physiography, how physiography is impacting. What's the role of physiography in India's space relations with different countries? So let's take the case of China itself. How is geography influencing India's relationship with China? 2 or 3 points can be made. Right? Trade again geography impact here. No, clear on that.
Sir, question on the
physiography. What is the physiography? The role of physiography in India-China relations. Physiography talks about the landform, the physical setting, basically the Himalayas in case of India and China. So you can talk about the skirmishes, border conflicts, right? Yeah. So we had discussed about in the boundaries. We have seen that frontier it's a frontier region, but frontier has been now converted into a boundary region. But because of the difficulty in clearly defining the boundary in a mountainous region, there is a border conflict. So physiographical complexities of the region, I mean, the inability to draw a proper boundary has had a huge impact on India-China relations. Similarly, you can see physiography impacting culture. So these two are kind of interrelated. Culture anginana poor, very low people-to-people interaction. Basically, it acts as a cultural divide. Right. So that is again an impact on Indo-China relations. So again, you can say strategic positions or strategic location, create strategic locations and just lower them. It's not just the border is to be difficult to be drawn, but often Aksai Chin was captured because China found Aksai Chin to be very critical for their purpose because the road to Xinjiang and Tibet. Xinjiang and Tibet are China's two two nationalities within China, which is not similar to the mainstream Chinese culture, and they have problems. These are two regions where Chinese has done a lot of excesses. So in that case, what they have to get this Aksaishin, because Aksaishin connects Xinjiang and Tibet. Road is passing through this. So they captured Xinjiang. So what's the strategic importance of these things? So even the Galwan Valley and the Sangong, the Five Finger region are being contested for its strategic significance. So that again vitiates the relationship, right? So we can mention that way. And if you go into the cultural aspect, say take another example. In the case of maybe you take Bangladesh, how that the similar civilizational origins or roots like language, shared cultural history, all these things are keeping that relationship warm despite the religious differences. Uh, just like unlike Pakistan, where the cultural continuum has been broken, in Bangladesh's case that has not been broken. The Bengali culture is basically holding it together. So you can identify similar such elements. Economy, what is the economic relation between India and SAARC countries? Mostly you can see, if you look at economy as a factor, you see most of these SAARC countries are monsoonal countries with similar crops. National countries with agriculture as the mainstay and have similar crops. So there is less scope for trade cooperation because Bangladesh will be producing jute and the West Bengal will also be producing jute. So there is a competition. Similarly, India would be majorly producing rice and the rest of the countries will be producing rice. So that kind of a competition still exists there rather than complementarity of trade and goods and services. That's rather both are developing countries. So India is looking for apparel industry, textile industry. They is focusing on textile industry, but Bangladesh is more competitive in textile industry than India. In fact, Bangladesh is becoming the textile capital, footwear capital. They was unable to capitalize on that. So the space relations is somewhat it's an advantage as well as it's a negative. Some of the negative elements have been mentioned by me. You can always identify more positive phenomena which is adding to see culture can itself be identified. Okay, I mentioned Bengal in the case in that case. So there are different dimensions to space relations. Okay, try to identify that. Just a second. Okay. So this thing directly, PPC is not going to ask any questions on that. So basically, the questions if it will ask would be from like the physiography, how physiography is a hurdle in India, Pakistan relations, India, Nepal relations. Questions could be like that. The influence of physical setting and culture in the relationship between India and its neighboring countries. Those kind of questions can be framed. So it's just about we are using that GS content, but we have to use it in a locational specific and then geographical manner. That's all. So again, if you bring in the case of Rimland, you can see what do we know about Rimland? Preventing unification of Rimland has been a major uh, concern of like all the great powers of the world. So if you look at the relationship between the countries in South Asia and the superpowers, you can see, you take the case of Pakistan also. Historically, these two countries were in the opposite camps. So when before 19 and 2000s, you can see Pakistan was a NATO, almost a NATO ally, especially, if we could sometimes say US was the junior partner and Pakistan was making the maximum out of US policies. Something like that happened because they got all the benefits out of US. And India was in the USSR camp. And they say India shifted into USSR. Now Pakistan is moving into the Russian camp. So anyhow, there are less chances the Rimland is going to be united. So the Kashmir issue again, everybody has taken that. I mean, none of the countries want that to be solved. Nobody wants that to be solved. Right? If the Kashmir issue is solved, half of the problems between Pakistan and India is solved. So no countries want to solve that. I mean, China would fish in the waters, muddy waters like US will do the same. Again, the case of Afghanistan is the best example. Again, foreign interference from all part. Now, after both these countries, both USSR and China, those USSR and Pakistan, now it's time of China to play in the to muddy the waters of Afghanistan along with Pakistan. Right. So, in a way, you can say the inland politics being played out under this part of the world. Okay, so I think it's all about integrating the current affairs, the materials that we study. There is nothing more content that we can come about with this one, but the content that we already know. So I mentioned a couple of few, and we can understand it from physiography. So we'll see the physiographic units of India, and then that will be covered. And then it's just to identify, like, if Bengal is given, West Bengal and Bengal is given, like what is the physiography there. If Pakistan is given, we will understand that by the time we study structure and relief. So that will be it. And economy and culture, all this will be dealt with in the population geography aspect. I think it would have been dealt with already. Economy in the industrial geography and things are part like that. So I think it's just a matter of, like, it's an interdisciplinary one where you have to pull content from the different modules that is there in the geography test. Okay. മനസ്സിലായി ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങൾ? Okay. Now, again, a few things we already know, like, so I'm not going into that again. We know the basically the physiographic division of India, right? Physiographic division is well known. We have the peninsular plateau, peninsular plateau is there. We have the Great Plains. We have the Himalayan region. We have again the peninsular plateau. These are some of the major landforms, major physiographic units of India. And we have to focus basically on peninsular plateau and Himalayas. These are two regions where we can expect questions. You can expect questions from its formation, how these units were formed, and you can also expect questions from what their structure and relief. So these are the two areas we have to study as far as the physical setting of India is concerned, and we'll be trying to do that. Okay. So again, the peninsular India can be divided into several parts. Okay. So if you look at the peninsular India, you have the central highlands, you have the Deccan plateaus. To start with, you have the Maharashtra plateau, you have the Karnataka plateau, you have the Telangana plateau, you have the Tamil Nadu plateau, Maharashtra roughly drawing, you have the Chota Nagpur plateau, more to the north. You can see you have the Chota Nagpur plateau, and you have the Meghalaya plateau, boldly. So you have in between, you have the Dandakaranya region, you have the Chhattisgarh midland basins, you have the Dandakaranya I already mentioned. So this constitutes the the peninsular India. So don't need me to explain that. I think these, geography, geography ഇതൊക്കെ പഠിച്ചോളെ. Yeah, so we know those basic things. So we'll be just looking into the formation of basically the peninsular India first. Formation of basically peninsular plateau started somewhere around 3 billion years ago. Before 3 billion years ago was the first formation happened. So briefly, I'll mention the things and then we can write. So formation can be classified in classified, no? Can be looked at from two perspectives. So first of all, formation of main base, that is several cratons. I think cratons have been dealt with. Cratons and the building blocks of continents. So cratons have been joined into this part. So the peninsular plateau is made up of several cratons. We'll see what are the cratons that are present. So based on these several cratons, there is a formation of main base. That's the main process that has happened. You have to build basically the cratons and then the valleys on the sedimentary deposits around that. So that's how you build this. You have to build about mountains. So you'll be obviously known. There is Aravalli, there is Eastern Ghats. All these were formed. Similarly, there is Craton, the Maharashtra Plateau, the Peninsular Plateau. All these things are sorry, the Karnataka Plateau are there. So these individual units needs to be built. That's the main base, formation of main base. Once that has been completed, the second stage process was that the cosmetic changes. Cosmetic changes were also happening earlier, but once this formation of main base has happened, there has been much changes with respect to main base in the history of peninsula. Main base has remained the same. So the cratons which have been formed are part of the peninsular plateau, like since that 3 or 1 billion years back. So that still continues. In between, what changes were what was mostly cosmetic change. Maybe you can say the sea level will change. Maybe there is the what rift valleys would be created. Maybe you will have magma emplacement as you see in the case of say what do you call us the Maharashtra plateau. So those are the things that is happening in between. So let's see in what order basically. I'll just give you the order in which each of these processes has happened, and then we'll go into the details of it. Right. Okay. So first of all, there is a formation of Archean shields. Archean period, and in the Archean period, several cratons join together to form the Archean shields. Okay, now what are the Archean shields? Okay, so we have several Archean shields. One is the Dharwad Basin, the Bastar Basin, the Singhbum, and the Bundelkhand Basin. Okay, these three, Bundelkhand and Singhbum, these three or four cratons have been created, and they together form this Archean shield. I mean, the cratons which have been there, that they have been clubbed together. Okay. Then the second process was the creation of what mobile belts. The Proterozoic period. So we know this periods have been dealt with, or I think already will be dealt with in the case of what you call as geomorphology studies. So mobile belts is nothing but mountain ranges. Okay. So there have been two major mountain ranges. There is the Aravalli, Satpura, Chota Nagpur range, which again extended from to be something like this. In between this region, there was a creation of a huge mountain range. Okay, a big mountain range was created, and also in this part, there was always again another creation of a huge mountain range. Just like the Himalayas of today, there have been the creation of two huge mobile belts, what we call as mountain ranges. That is about 2 billion years back, and this was about 3 billion years back. Right. And after then, obviously, after the creation of these mobile belts, the third logical step would be what? Mountain ഉണ്ടാക്കി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അടുത്ത പ്രോസസ് എന്തായിരിക്കും? പറഞ്ഞു. ഒരു മൗണ്ടൻ റേഞ്ച് ഉണ്ടായി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അടുത്തതായിട്ട് സംഭവിക്കാൻ പോകുന്ന കാര്യം എന്തായിരിക്കും? morphology എടുക്കണമല്ലോ. ആരോടാ ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചോട്ടെ? റോഷൻ, എന്ത് സംഭവിക്കും മൗണ്ടൻ ഉണ്ടായി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അടുത്ത്? ഹിമാലയസിന്റെ കാര്യം എടുത്ത് നോക്കൂ, എന്താ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു മൗണ്ടൻ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്?
റിവേഴ്സ് ആണോ?
റിവേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ടാവും. Then what happens?
പ്ലെയിൻസ്.
എന്തോ? പ്ലെയിൻസ് ഉണ്ടാവും അല്ലെ? ഒബിയസ്ലി വെൻ ഹൈ ഓർഡർ റിലീഫ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു എലമെന്റ് ഉണ്ടായി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ it's a huge mountain. So obviously the tendency to bear that mountain down. What there will be? Weathering, erosion, and final deposition would be happening. Deposition would be happening here. So anywhere that's a huge mountain, obviously the mountain, the agents of erosion will set in. The exogenic forces will set in and will try to reduce the size of that mountain, bring back the normalcy. So that will be the next case. So here again you have Proterozoic, sedimentary basin. So we had okay. So we have this huge mountain range in the Satpura Chotanagpur basin, and we also have the Eastern Ghats create. So what would the normal tendency would be to create what sedimentary basins? So several such sedimentary basin has been formed around between the cratons and the hilly the mobile mountains that have been created. So some of them include mountains like the Kadapa basin, Bhima basin, the Kadapa basin, the Bhima basin have been created. Similarly, there was later, there was also creation of Golia, Bijapur plains, and there is Vindhya basin. Okay, so you can see here the Golia, Bijapur basin, and towards in this part you can see the Vindhyan basin form. So this has been a major activity. So we can see a couple of three to four things happening. First, there was a creation of what? There was a creation of the Archean shields, the cratons, which formed the foundations of the peninsula. And on this is after that, in the later period, there was a formation of mountain belts, and these mountain belts formed again other parts of the peninsula. And then from the erosion that is happening from the mountain basins, several sedimentary basins have been formed. So it's not plain per se as if it's happened several billion years back, but several depositional areas have seen. Now this can be clearly seen if you look at the peninsula. Elladum peninsula crystalline aayittulla rock aayirikkathilla. Within peninsula, some regions we see what sedimentary rock, sedimentary soil. The Karnataka region rocks, sorry, rock. For Karnataka, we are basically seeing the crystalline rocks. That is Dharwad basin. When you go into the Vindhyan surrounding regions, you mostly see sedimentary soils. The Kadapa region, all these are sedimentary rocks. You can see them. So these are the different stages of formation in peninsular India. Through the three stages. Finally, the formation of sedimentary basins in these three regions. That's how the peninsula have been formed. And once these three phenomena have happened, peninsula have basically stabilized. Stabilization of peninsula. Then there is not much new creation of new landform there. There is only some morphological, cosmetic changes that has happened as part of several other phenomena. So we'll come to that. Initially, we'll see the processes still the stabilization of this phenomenon. Okay, so we'll write a few things. So first one, where do we start from? Okay. Indian Peninsula was formed by
സാറേ ഹെഡിങ് എന്തായിരുന്നു?
okay, this is formation of peninsula. Formation of Indian Peninsula, Peninsula Plateau. Formation of Peninsula Plateau. ഇത് കുറച്ച് ആക്ച്വലി ഇത് കുറച്ച് ഹിസ്റ്റോറിക്കൽ പീരിയഡ്സിന്റെ കാര്യമൊക്കെ വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അതൊന്നും UPSC ചോദിക്കാറേ ഇല്ല. സോ പിന്നെ അത് ഓർത്തിരിക്കാൻ ഭയങ്കര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. സോ ദാറ്റ്സ് വൈ ഐ ആം നോട്ട് pulling into that direction. Just remember the names that are being Penarosoid, Protozoid, Protozoid. And I think we have seen that inside the first chapter longer. Okay, so Indian Peninsula was formed by the merger of Platons, various supercontinent cycles, merger of cratons, and various supercontinent cycles also have affected the Indian Peninsula after the Precambrian period. And later, it has continued to evolve through geological history, with the onset of several phenomena like the rifting periods, the rifting episodes of Gondwana period. You can see the rifting episodes of the Gondwana period. The Himalayan formation, the phase of Himalayan formation. And the formation of deltas or extension of deltas in the Quaternary period. Okay, so on the basis the formation and evolution of Peninsular Plateau can be understood in two stages. Can probably be understood in two stages. First one, formation of the main base of peninsula. And the second one, cosmetic changes introduced after the stabilization of peninsula. Various cosmetic changes introduced after the stabilization of peninsula. Okay, then we have to draw this picture. I'll make it a bit more accurate. So if you look at here, we have the forward one, maybe. Okay, so the Bundelkhand pattern, Bastar crater. What the okay, sorry, this is the Buster crater. Here's how you have the Singu crater and the Darwad crater. In between, you have the several suture zones. Suture zones are the areas where the different cratons have been merged together. Okay, so obviously, which is that the zone, which is that zone.
India ranges ആണ്.
No, no. Mountains won't be the region where join in this case. This case is something different, but something close to India range. Identify. I mean, you should be identifying this. അവിടെ എവിടെയാണ് റിഫ്റ്റ് വാലി വരുന്ന റിവേഴ്സ് ഉള്ളത്?
സത്പുരയാണോ?
എന്തോ?
നർമ്മദ താപ്പി.
Yeah. So it's the Narmada, Tapi, Sor, Damodar. All these are, if you know it, all these are Rift Valley rivers. We have studied that. I mean, all these are flowing through certain Rift Valleys. So these are the Rift Valleys which forms the suture zones between. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇടയ്ക്ക് പറയാറില്ല നർമ്മദ ഉണ്ടായത് എങ്ങനെയാണ് റിഫ്റ്റ് വാലി റിജുവനേഷൻ ഉണ്ടായിട്ടാണ് നർമ്മദ ഉണ്ടായെന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഇതാണ് സംഭവം. These are the zones where these different cratons have been what you call as sutured together, plastered together. So again, you have the Godavari suture zone, the Mahanadi suture zone. So this is how the peninsula have been created together. Okay, so you have drawn the map. Now just write a few things. Peninsula is made up of shields separated by peninsula is created by shields separated by intercratonic grabens. Okay, and then we'll explain that too. The peninsular India is primarily a shield comprising of crustal blocks of the Archean period. An Archean shield and Archean is the time period in which it has been formed. These blocks are called cratons. These blocks are called cratons and are separated from each other by intercratonic rift valleys. These have more or less remained undeformed for very long geological period. Undeformed for very long geological period. And thus contain the oldest rocks of Indian subcontinent. Structure like rock type but for now we will just go through this as like how the evolution history has so we'll quickly just to get an overview we move through that. Okay, rocks of the Indian subcontinent. One more thing to write. Once formed, each of these shields have witnessed several tectonic events like the rifting episodes of the Gondwana period. Volcanism, etc. Volcanism, volcanism of the Cretaceous period, etc. All these processes have resulted in the building of all these processes have resulted in the building of these crustal blocks into each other. Now the second stage, formation of Proterozoic mobile or mountain belts. Formation of Proterozoic or Proterozoic mountain belts. Indian Peninsula was involved in plate tectonics and supercontinent cycles. Due to which several mobile belts developed in the peninsula. So again, draw this picture. So just to label them, the Aravalli, Satpura. So that used to be a single mountain range, right? Okay, and Chota Nagpur, Aravalli, Satpura, and Chota Nagpur mobile belt. And then we had the Eastern Ghats. The first form was obviously the Aravalli belt. It was formed about 2.2 billion years ago, and Eastern Ghats was formed about 1.7 billion years ago. But not necessary. Just to see in the history, we have to just see the history. That's all. Right. At the beginning of early Proterozoic era, led to diastrophic movements, which ultimately led to diastrophic movements, which are ultimately created has ultimately created early Proterozoic mountain belt of Aravalli, Satpura, and Chota Nagpur. During the middle Proterozoic period, another diastrophic event and another dystrophic movements led to the formation of Eastern Ghats. Eastern Ghats around 1.7 billion years ago. Which extended up to Shillong in the past. So what is the Meghalaya plateau today? So that is part of the Eastern Ghats origin. Okay. Then we had the formation of what? Third one is a formation of Proterozoic sedimentary platform. Okay. We have the Vindhya basin here. And what are the Chhattisgarh basin? Okay. And the Kadapa basin. Kadapa and Kara. And the Bhima basin. These basins have been created based on the this period we also call as Purana period. Purana. That's again, these names are not very necessary. The okay, so we'll just write a few things. Beginning of mid-Proterozoic, so beginning of mid-Proterozoic period, so formation of several sedimentary basin platforms. Several sedimentary basin platforms along the two periods of Lower Purana. Don't be surprised by that. Lower Purana and Upper Purana period. So this was about what 1.7 billion years ago, and this was about 1 billion years ago. It started and extended to a long period. So we have what basically Lower Purana. We have the Kadapa basin and the Satpura, Bijapur, Gwalior basin. These two basins have been formed. Okay. So just a minute. Lower Purana. It saw the formation of two separate basins. To the west of Eastern Ghats, Kadapa basin has been formed. And towards the north of Satpura, towards the west of Eastern Ghats, we have the Kadapa basin that is being formed. And towards the north of Satpura, Aravalli Satpura, you have the Gwalior Bijapur basin. Okay. In the Upper Purana period, the Upper Purana period saw the enlargement of basin platforms. Towards the It's an enlargement of basin platform. Thus, the Kadapa basin extended west towards Bhima basin. Okay, Bhima was also created. Now this Bijapur is being converted into Vindhya basin. Okay. And it was extended into the Bhima basin towards the north, and towards the north into the Chhattisgarh basin. So, മൂന്ന് basins ആണ് ഇവിടെ ഫോം ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. The Chhattisgarh basin. Whereas the Gwalior Bijapur basin extended to form an arc-shaped Vindhyan basin. So that's what the what you should call as the Vindhyan mountain ranges. Unlike the other areas, Aravalli is crystalline, Eastern Ghats is crystalline, but the Vindhyan mountain ranges are sedimentary in nature. Indian mountain ranges sedimentary mountains are because it's a basin. Your basin and that uplift either. So that's what happened. Block mountain. So again, what do you call as Indian mountain range on that? So that's why it's sedimentary in nature. It's a basin that has been formed from the Aravalli, Satpura, Chotanagpur mountain belt. Okay, so with the formation of these sedimentary platforms, Indian Peninsula stabilized. And acquired a structure. Which has not witnessed any major change in but only some cosmetic modifications. Okay. Now we have to look at the cosmetic change that was brought about later. Okay. So we'll start with the fourth one, the fourth stage in the formation of Indian Peninsula. That was the rifting episode of Gondwana Peak. So several of the rift valleys that we see today. Several of the rift valleys that we see today have been formed during this period. Or rather, you can say they have been rejuvenated. Okay, those suture zone that was there earlier have been rejuvenated, and this has led to several things. Like one, different most of mountain formation was there, and most importantly, the col formation was there. So this is why we call the Indian col to be Gondwana col. Okay, it was in the Gondwana period. This what Rift Valley formation has happened along the various suture zones that was there, and the Rift Valleys were created. And in the process of this creation of this Rift Valley, several trees, vegetation has been buried under soil, which led to the formation of Gondwana col, and this has also modified the morphology of the peninsula plate. Now, in the fifth phase, there was formation of sedimentary platforms. What happened? In this period, during the Mesozoic period, there was extension of the peninsula into the marine, the surrounding, the seaward extension, like the deltas started to form and large. Basically, the reverse activities are happening. So the what do you call as the sedimentary platforms were being created along the margins of peninsula. Okay, by the time Mesozoic, the peninsula has also moved away from the different what do you call as the margins, like it has broken away from Gondwana and all other continents. So these parts started developing. Okay, so the sedimentary platforms, the peninsula are extending into new regions. Now, then the next phase is the coming in of the explain. Sixth phase is the volcanism, the period of volcanism, Cretaceous volcanism that the peninsula has seen. So large scale volcanism, what happened, we know. In several regions, there was magma emplacement in the form from what hotspot volcanoes. Indian peninsula was, what India, suppose, so Indian peninsula was not exactly this way. So in somewhere on this shape, Indian peninsula was situated. So there was like two hotspots in this period of time. There is one is the Reunion hotspot, and the other is the Kerguelen hotspot. In two particular locations, these the hotspot area. Yeah, right. So in several regions of the country, that is the Kathiawar region, the Malwa region, the Maharashtra plateau, and one more region. What is that region? എവിടെയാണ് വേറെ നമുക്ക് ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ബസാൾട്ടിക് മാഗ്മ region കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്ന പെനിൻസുല? Okay, the Rajmahal Hills towards the Jharkhand, West Bengal boundary. So in these regions, there was the deposition of volcanic magma under the during the Cretaceous period. The Cretaceous period is famous for the high amount of volcanism, and Indian peninsula also had its fair share of volcanic eruption. So this thing happened again. The morphology of peninsula has changed. So that's how the Deccan Trap region, the Maharashtra plateau and its Black Soil region has been created. Right. Now the sixth one. Now in the seventh period, there was a period of tertiary period. In the tertiary period, the one conspicuous factor was the rising of sea levels and marine transgression. And much of the peninsula was under, so the areas which were previously not under the sea came to be under marine condition. So the marine transgression is the main feature that has led to this particular period, and there was sedimentation along these parts. So again, with the wave action and all the phenomena that will be coming along with marine transgression, the nature of what you call as the peninsula has again changed. And this is why, when you say, like sometimes you say this, there is petroleum in Rajasthan, like the Bangla Basin, Barmer region. Why? Because those were the zones where earlier marine transgression has happened. So Rajasthan at some point of time was under the under marine conditions, and that's how we have the petroleum formation. So that's the stage of marine transgression. Then you have the last stage in the Quaternary period. What is the rejuvenation and other rejuvenation and tilting of peninsula? This was associated with the Himalayan formation, and some rejuvenation happened, especially in the southern part of peninsula. We'll come to that. So this was during the Himalayan orogeny. Several changes have been modified. Yeah, several changes were introduced into the peninsular system, tilting on the but ahead in general GS geography. The peninsula has shifted. The peninsula, which was by that time like this, it has shifted to the east, and also the sloping pattern of the east, this part has shifted to the eastward angle. So that's why we see the rivers flowing in a northeasterly manner, and then again easterly manner in the parts of peninsula, because while the Himalayan, while peninsula has hit with the Eurasian plate, there was tilting in this part. So that's how the tilting is occurring, because of the collision between peninsula and the Eurasian platform, Eurasian continent. So that's how basically the peninsula's progression has happened. Several stages, so about 8 stages. What is expected from us is the basic understanding about these 8 stages. That's it. Not into too much of details. We'll be just seeing what all these particular stages are. Okay, and by this time the formation of Quaternary is the last day. That's and after that we are here. So not much of again the second stages are all morphological changes that has happened, cosmetic changes that has happened along the mostly along the boundaries, and sometimes along the interior of peninsula also. Okay, so we'll look into a few details while writing. So we have to start from Rift Valley. The Gondwana period witnessed the formation of the Gondwana period witnessed the formation of Rift Valley, intercratonic gravons, So what basically this land has subsided, and whatever vegetation that was there was buried under subsequent soil formation. So this was happened. So land subsided. These grabens or rift valleys were formed. These grabens or rift valleys formed. This is the rift valley, right? Ghana rift valley was formed along the already present suture zones of Narmada, Tapi, Son, and Mahanadi. And also, sorry, Mahanadi, Damodar, which is in a continuous stretch. And then you have Mahanadi and Godavari. With the formation of the Rift Valley, thick layers of vegetation sequence was deposited. Thick layers of vegetation was deposited, which led to the formation of the Gondwana coal belts of India. Fifth one, the formation of surrounding platform basins, sedimentary basins, sedimentary platforms. During this period, Indian Peninsula broke away from Antarctica and Australia. Broke away from Antarctica and Australia and began its northward journey. Northward journey. Thus, the eastern coastline seemed to have started evolving. Thus, the eastern coastline, eastern Ghats was part of Antarctica. Was a single continent, Gondwana and the Pangaea. So, they was united. Once it was broken, beyond the eastern Ghats region, the coastline has started to develop. So the coastline seemed to have started evolving during this period. Then as the peninsula moved further northwards, the margins of the Rajasthan part, the northern margins of Rajasthan part, came under sea and were characterized by active deposition. Right. Now, the next one, sixth stage, that's the large-scale volcanism in the Cretaceous period. Cretaceous. The Cretaceous period witnessed outpouring of basaltic magma at least along two different locations. So we have the picture here. So if you look at here, the Black Soil region, and their Black Soil region, Maharashtra region and the Malwa region, with in between that Rift Valley, Satpura India part is there, but excluding that, these two regions are found to be of this volcanic origin. So please write that. And here, the Rajmahal Hill region. This is from, these three are from the Reunion hotspot, and this is from the Kerguelen hotspot. Both these are found along the Mauritius Seychelles region. അവിടെയുള്ള രണ്ട് hotspots ആണ്. Okay. Now the next phase is seventh phase. There is the tertiary marine transgression period. Beginning of tertiary era, submergence of entire margin of Indian Peninsula under sea. This led to sedimentation in two phases. Initially it was under marine environment. Which ultimately caused sedimentation in deltaic settings, the Cambay Basin seems to have evolved during this period. So kind of peninsula was transgressed by the margins. Now the last stage, tectonic rejuvenation and other geomorphological happening during the Quaternary period. In different parts of the country, there was different phenomena happening. So we slightly see the different phenomena happening in different areas. So in the northwestern India, Aravalli has undergone rejuvenation and upliftment. Okay, because of all this is connected with the Himalayan orogeny. So the northwestern India, the Aravalli mountain belt had experienced rejuvenation and upliftment. Rejuvenation നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ചാണല്ലോ എന്താണ് geomorphology. Such a rejuvenation caused dismemberment of drainage systems and disappearance of many rivers, including the mythical Saraswati River, ultimately causing desertification in the region. The Western Ghats region, the western region, the western margins of the peninsula was affected by tectonic rifting, leading to the reactivation of several fault zones, which has led to the formation of Western Ghats. Some other cosmetic changes include in the Quaternary period, there was further development of delta. So obviously delta is continuously being developed. Delta is extended. This is extending outwards. Quaternary period also witnessed that further development of delta regions of major rivers along the eastern coast of India. And also the tertiary Quaternary period witnessed the formation of Malda Gap, in this zone. Malda Gap, which has led to the separation of Meghalaya Peninsula, from the rest of peninsular plateau. from the rest of Peninsular Plate. Okay. I think that's about the evolution of Peninsula as such. Now, the next topic is structure and relief of Peninsula. So basically, structure and relief of Peninsula is a very static topic, which is something which you have to just pick up from Kulla. So what we're going to do is that we'll take up a couple of units of Peninsula. Say, maybe we will pick up Aravallis, or we can pick up the Deccan Plateau, the Chota Nagpur Plateau, and we'll see some of the features of these regions. Its structure, its structuring groups, it's the rock type, mainly the rock type of the region, the soil of the region, the relief of the region, the type of rivers that is there. So these detail has to be seen. That's what the structure, relief, and drainage of a particular region. That is very repeatedly asked by UPS. Right? Compare with Chota Nagpur region with maybe with the Deccan Plateau, things like that. So we'll see that in the next day. Basically, we'll see what all things to look at. How do we process these information? But once we do that for one or two areas, then the rest is just paperwork. You have to just copy from it. So I don't think we have to waste time on that. Right. So we'll see couple of two or three areas of the peninsula and write down their details and see how that has been formed. After that, we can do it on. Okay. Then we have to do the other parts. We have also see the formation of Himalayas and the drainage system, how it has formed in India. There have been questions from drainage part also. Okay, so I think we can finish it today. Like in today, I won't be able to start a topic and complete it logically. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Anything? The evolution story, you don't have to read more than this. This is enough. You have to just go to just picture. I mean, just to summarize it for you again, you have two phases. The phases of formation of the basic structure of the peninsula, and then just the modification of that basic structure which have been created. The formation of basic structure included three stages. First of all, it was a stage of the cratons forming, or the shield areas coming together and forming the baseline. And then on top of that, because of obviously this is a period of this Pangea formation and all, where the mobile belts, because of collision, the same how this was formed, it was formed basically through the plate tectonic collision. Through that collision, the Eastern Ghats orogeny, that also called as the mountain belts, and the Aravalli, Satpura, Chota Nagpur belt has been formed. Once that belt has been formed, normally there was sedimentation, erosion and sedimentation, which led to the creation of surrounding sedimentary platforms on the like the Goliar Bijapur one, which the Goliar Bijapur one on top of it was later covered by magma eruption. That's a different story. But that is formed. Then the Kadapa Basin, the Bhima Basin, which was an extension of the Kadapa Basin itself, has been formed by again sedimentation. Once that has been done, the basic structure of peninsula has been created. There was no modification you see in that part. Then the cosmetic changes happened. There was Rift Valley creation, which dissected some of these regions which was together earlier. Rivers have been flowing through that region again. There was marine. Again, then later the peninsula got split up from the rest of the other continents, the Antarctica, the Australia, which led to the creation of that areas, surrounding regions where sediment deposition has led to creation of Rajasthan plateau and plains, the eastern coastline that have been created. And then further went on to create what the marine transgression has modified those land regions which have been created. Marine transgression led to their modification again. In between, there was the Cretaceous volcanic eruption, which led to the Deccan, which led to the lava plateaus of the country. And finally, you had the Himalayan orogeny, which again had different impact, different parts of the country. Aravalli had impact, Western Ghats had impact. The Malda Gap formation was there, tilting of peninsula was there, separation of Meghalaya plateau during the Malda Gap formation was there. So these much things basically led to the structure and the shape of peninsula as we see it today. Okay. Anything you want to ask? Okay, all right, we'll conclude then. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, sir. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.